Okay, I think we're ready to try out our phrases now, and that's going to be our last step. So first, we're going to begin from the very beginning, and all of this is to give us practice in recognizing the different places, the ties, the phrases in a sentence, and this will make us very competent and very comfortable with grammar. So, Jean and Roy were not at home last night. Number one, let's take a look and see, are there any shifters? Yes, last night is a shifter because I can say last night Jean and Roy were not at home. X words, okay, we have were is the X word. And then to make a question, I ask, were Jean and Roy not at home last night? And that makes Jean and Roy our subject. Everything from the subject to the end of the sentence or the shifter is the predicate, and we'll mark that. And now let's look for ties. Were ties with Jean and Roy. Were ties with last night. It's past. And that's all the ties that I have. The X place is with were. The M place is where we have the word not, because not is an M word. And if you don't know where the M place is in a sentence, make the sentence negative, and not will tell you exactly where it is. And then, of course, everything left is Y. Now we know we have 6 kinds of phrases. So Y is at home. This is a prepositional phrase, and we're going to mark it PP. So we're doing good. We found the different places. We found the X, the M, and the Y place. We found the ties, and we also now gave a name to the phrase we find in Y, at home. Let's try number 2. Jean works in a restaurant every weekday evening. We also have a shifter in this sentence, every weekday evening. I don't see the X word, but I know when I don't see an X word, I have to choose from do, does, or did. And in this sentence, I'd use does. For example, does Jean work in a restaurant every weekday evening? To make negative, I also need the X word. Jean does not work in a restaurant every weekday evening, which makes Jean our subject. And the predicate works in a restaurant. Okay. Now, every predicate has 3 places. There's a place for X words, like does, but it's empty here. There's a place for M words right after the X words, but also it's empty. And I can show the M place with this caret. And that leaves, okay, let's take a look at our ties. I'm sorry. Works ties with the subject. Works also ties with the present, every weekday evening. And that makes works the S form. I'm definitely getting better with my writing here. So now we have the X place. I put in the M place after the X place. And works in a restaurant is Y. Now, I see that I have the S form begins the Y. That makes the verb, the Y, a verb phrase with time. And I know it's confusing with time, no time, but because the verb ties with the time, we say it's a verb phrase with time. Number 3. Last night, Roy was taking a test in his business class. Okay, last night is a shifter. It's here in the front. In his business class is a shifter here at the end. And I could say in his business class last night, Roy was taking a test, or in his business class, Roy was taking a test last night. But we can see these two pieces can shift around. They're shifters. So let's take a look at what's left. This should be our trunk. And we'll begin, where's the X word? Here it is, was. I bring it in front of Roy, and I'd say, last night, was Roy taking a test in his business class? Although it's very common when you do make a question, you bring end shifters to the back. I mean, you bring front shifters to the end. But anyway, let's continue here. Now we have the subject, Roy, and the predicate was taking a test. Ties was ties with Roy, was ties with last night, past, and was ties with taking. This is the ing form of our verb. So the M place is here. I could show it with a little caret and I'll put an M there. In taking a test, everything left in the predicate is Y. Taking a test, the Y begins with taking, the ing form. This is a verb phrase, no time. The taking doesn't tie with present or past. It ties with the X word. The X word ties with the time. Their biggest problem is they have no time to spend together. Don't see any shifters. The X word is. Is their biggest problem they have no time to spend together? Yes, it is. Subject. And everything left is the predicate. Ties, X ties with the subject. X ties with, is ties with the present. The M place is here, but it's empty. And that leaves everything left is Y. They have no time to spend together. Now this is a little tricky. What kind of a phrase is they have no time to spend together? It actually looks just like a sentence to me. It has no shifters. So Y in our sentence is a trunk. They were complete strangers when they met. When they met is the shifter. The X word is were. I bring it here to the front to say, were they complete strangers? And now I know the subject is they. Everything from the shifter to the subject is the predicate, and every predicate has ties. Every trunk has ties. Were ties with they. Were ties with the past, and that's actually indicated by when they met. That's past. I don't see any M word. It's not they were completely strangers. They were complete strangers. There is no M. and that leaves Y complete strangers. Now, the head is strangers, and strangers is a noun, so complete strangers is a noun phrase. They were quite shy. No shifters. The X word is were. They is the subject, and the predicate is everything left. Were quite shy. Of course, there's ties. Were ties with they. Were ties with the past. The M place is empty. It's here because I could say they were not quite shy. And that leaves Y quite shy. The head is shy. Shy is an adjective because I could say very shy. And that makes Y an adjective phrase. And so little by little, we're making a lot of progress and we're getting deeper into our sentences with each new lesson. So here we've completed basically our sentence. We have all the different places indicated. We have the ties indicated. We've named the kind of a phrase that we have in Y. And with lesson 7, we're going to be starting our next part of this analysis. But for now, please take a look at lesson 6, exercise 2. Complete that exercise. And then, of course, you want to check your work with the answer key. If you have any questions, please let me know, ask a question, and then we can talk about it together, and we'll be all ready to move on. So, enjoy.